you guys are such a polite, wow, just like a great crowd. It's excellent. What a special day. Please join me in welcoming Please join me in welcoming Fernanda Perret, our elder in residence, for a welcome.
On behalf of Comox First Nation Hereditary Chiefs and Chief of Council, I'd like to welcome you all into the unceded traditional territories of Comox First Nation.
Thank you very much. Well, I'm happy that we're finally here today. I'm so happy that you could all make it. My name is Randall Height. I am Vice President, Strategic Initiatives here at North Island College and also Executive Director of the NIC Foundation. Pretty good turnout, eh? There'll be 50 or 60 people, they said. No, that's just over here. And then we have this section, and this section, and this section. What a great, great turnout. First, I want to acknowledge some of our dignitaries over here. Ron Ray Leonard, MLA for Courtney Comox. Just wave when you can, she's right over here. His Worship Mayor Bob Wells, City of Courtney, who I think is down there as well. Lieutenant Colonel Paula Fraser, Deputy Wing Commander, 19 Wing Comox, who I saw over there. Welcome, Paula. And we have some people from our Board of Governors, including our Chair, Jane Murphy, who, you guys have to stand because they can't, yeah, thank you, Jane. Thank you so much, Jane, I appreciate it. And Jane Atherton, who is our Board of Governors member and also on our NIC Foundation Board. We also have our Chair of the NIC Foundation Board, Ilona Horgan, who's right there. And right by her is Gary Griffin, also from our NIC Foundation Board. So please join me in welcoming all of them. I was going to introduce the family, but I have something I have a special guest speaker who's going to help us do that in a little bit. And so we'll save that for her, right? Please now join me in welcoming our president, John Bowman.
Wow, good afternoon, everyone. It's indeed a pleasure to welcome you to the North Island College Comox Valley campus on what Randall said is truly an important and special day for all of us. It's wonderful to see all of you here, so many friends and colleagues, friends and former colleagues from Camosun College and NIC, coming together with us to honor and celebrate Dr. Lou Dryden. A man who had a long and distinguished career in the BC college system at both Camosun and here at NIC as president for 12 years. I need to begin by acknowledging that I didn't really know Lou that well. Many of you knew him longer and more closely than I did. But in 2006, 13 years ago, I was appointed to be president of the College of New Caledonia in Prince George. And that September, I attended my very first meeting of the College Presidents Group in Vancouver. And Lou Dryden was chair of the College Presidents Group at that time. And I walked into this meeting, my first time as a college president with other colleagues from around the province, and I was 45 years old. I felt about 12. I walked into the room, and Lou stood up from the table and came to the door to greet me. And Lou was a tall man. But he made an effort to make me feel comfortable, knew I might be a little nervous attending my first meeting as a college president with some fairly elder colleagues, and I appreciated his gesture very much at that time. Lou recognized that as a rookie president, I might be just a little intimidated, and he did do a great deal that first meeting to make me feel comfortable and to help me relax. And then over the course of the next few years, I got to know Lou a little bit. We attended meetings together, and he would always ask me how things are going. You know, what's new at New Caledonia and Prince George? He'd ask me if there were any particular challenges or difficulties I was having, and he would offer encouragement and shared with me some of his experience, and of course he had lots. And during that time that we were both serving as presidents, me a rookie and he a senior experienced leader, I saw and heard so clearly on many occasions the tremendous respect, admiration, and real affection that his colleagues had for him, and certainly public officials who worked with him appreciated Lou very much. It was clear to me that Lou was truly a leader amongst leaders. Some of the conversations around the college president's table could occasionally get pretty animated with topics like institutional difficulties we were experiencing with our political leaders. Sometimes we had differences with government policy, or there were some challenges associated with faculty and staff labor relations. Lou always maintained a calm, professional demeanor. He always allowed others to express their points of view first before sharing his own thoughts. And they were often punctuated with humor, with a wee twinge of an Aussie accent. But I also remember how passionate he was about the college's core values, like our commitments to student success, access, and to community. And of course, he had a particular affinity for trades training, so it's fitting that we're gathered here in this building, which he was instrumental in making a reality. Lou always advocated so strongly, I remember, for the role of colleges and the work we do in helping people live better lives through education, and the contributions we make to community development and sustainability, particularly in rural regions like this. I think perhaps the highest compliment that I can pay to Lou is that his integrity was always evident and shone through. His kindness and generosity and concern for other people continues to inspire us today and will go on as a lasting legacy. A noteworthy example of this is that he established and funded the Dr. Lou Dryden Student Success Bursary, which is an endowment fund here at NIC to assist students from single-parent families who are actively involved in their communities. We're very happy today to have two past recipients of Lou's Student Bursary with us. We have Nadine Briggs and Cassidy Scott. I'm not sure where they are. Can you wave? Over here? Thank you very much for being here today. Since the year 2000, there have been 18 students who benefited from Lou's generosity, receiving a total of $13,000 in bursaries. And those numbers, of course, are going to grow each and every year into the future. In closing, I'm grateful to have learned much from Lou about leadership and the role of a college president. And interestingly, my last contact with him was very much like the first. After I came to the Comox Valley in the fall of 2013, I bumped into Lou at the workout at the gym at Comox Valley Rec Center, where he certainly spent a good deal of time. When he saw me, he greeted me again warmly and told me how glad he was that I had come to Vancouver Island and would serve as the president of NIC. And I said, Lou, it is indeed my great honor and privilege to follow in your footsteps. Thank you very much.
No crying, Paula, you said. Please help me welcome now Dr. Lisa Dome, Executive Vice President, Academic and Chief Operating Officer and former colleague of Lou's, and I'm sure she can tell you all about it. Lisa?
Thank you, Randall. Whoa, everyone's taller than me. Good afternoon, everyone. As Randall said, I am Lisa Dome. I'm the Executive Vice President, Academic and Chief Operating Officer at North Island College. And I have the privilege to work with Dr. Lou Dryden, who was our third president from 1997 to 2009, and was lucky enough to be one of his vice presidents for the last 3 years of his presidency. It's so incredibly heartwarming for me to see some old friends and colleagues, and I'm feeling just bursting with love for Lou and love for NIC, and so I thank you all for coming. Paula, Nikki, Lee, Lulu, my deepest condolences. All I can say is this: you knew how much he loved you, but I want you to know that we at NIC, we all knew that too. He talked about his family all the time. And those of you who knew Lou, when he was happy, he beamed. And he never beamed more than when he was talking about all of you. I feel like I know you all so well. He talked about swimming and triathlons and swimming, peppered a little rugby in there, and a whole lot of skiing. He was so proud of you, and there was just so much love. And at NIC, we all knew that too. My colleague Randall Height, who organized this amazing tribute to Lou, has asked me to speak to you all today about Lou's contributions to NIC as president. That's a daunting task, but let me try and do him some justice. Writing this and speaking to you today has helped me come to terms with something I couldn't have imagined, that Lou is no longer with us. So let me share a little bit about what he meant to NIC and what he means to me. When I learned of his passing, it seemed so impossible to me that a man so vital and so strong from head to toe could be gone. In truth, I can scarcely believe it. When I learned of his passing, it seemed impossible. But while he's no longer on this earth or with his beloved family, he's very much alive here at North Island College. Lou was our president and leader for 12 years, and his vision for NIC, like his vision for himself, was ambitious and expansive. Many of the things that he envisioned, he realized during his presidency. Aboriginal education, he secured our first Aboriginal service plan funding, the first applied degree at a rural college in BC, our Bachelor of Business Administration, the first of many university degree partnerships, funding for new program after new program, Taiyo to the left of us, and this magnificent trade center that we're in today. Other things Lou envisioned, well, he dug the trenches and he sowed the seeds, and they blossomed later. Our partnership with Island Health for the Comox Valley Hospital, our partnership with 19 Wing and the Department of National Defense, the incredible redevelopment of our Campbell River campus, which will reopen in October, and our ambitions for student housing. These are all milestone events that contributed to NIC's development, there's no question. We matured as a college under his leadership, and maturing sometimes comes with a little pain. Lou was president during some tough times for BC's post-secondary sector. He made some hard choices and took responsibility for them all. He agonized over them. I was there. But in the short time I have to speak to you all about Lou, my focus isn't on the many, many things that Lou achieved. Instead, I want to talk about his commitment to NIC and students. Those of you who knew him knew he was a tireless, tireless champion of this college, and he wore ministry officials down until they opened their pocketbooks. A former ministry official once shared with me over a cold glass of beer that he had to give Lou money. Lou was too prepared, his arguments were too good, and he was too persistent. I got the feeling that Lou's retirement was a bit of relief in Victoria. But those of us who worked closely with him knew his heart was with students. He never gave up on a North Island College student, no matter what. In one of my very first days working with Lou, we were driving up to our Campbell River campus, and we stopped at his favorite coffee shop. I quickly learned with Lou, always coffee. Lou had a favorite coffee shop in every NIC community, and we have lots of communities. Coffee in Tofino, coffee in Port Alberni, coffee in Port Hardy, up and down the island. I went with him for coffee. Every coffee shop was Lou's personal recruitment territory. He knew everybody who worked there, and he would talk to them. He would ask them about their schooling. He would ask them about their children. He would help them with assignments. He would encourage them. He would counsel them. No word of a lie, we were once stopped at a drive-through window while Lou counseled someone on how to write an essay while the cars lined up behind us. Another time, I saw him give a student money out of his own pocket, much to the dismay of our VP Finance, and then he denied it later. Coming from the mainland, I had never met a president so connected with students and so connected with the community, so driven to improve people's lives through education. His generous bursary, his legacy, is only one small testament to his dedication to students. I want you all to know that. At NIC, we have an ethic of care that defines us. Care for our students, care for each other. When a staff member visits a student in the hospital, that's Lou. When a faculty member bangs down the door of a student who stopped coming to class, that's Lou. Our ethic of care begins with Lou, and we are here today to celebrate that. Day in and day out, Lou believed in people, in what they could be, what they might not have believed for themselves. No one was a greater recipient of that than me. It is something I do my best to try and emulate every day because of him. I think he would be so proud of what we have done to support our students through learning supports, counseling, and services that we weren't able to do when he was our president. So he lives on here at NIC. He's in the air and the flowers and the trees and these pathways. He's in the sunshine and he's in the rain. He's in our communities and the students and with the professionals that he mentored. We'll have to console ourselves with that. I certainly will never forget him and will always be inspired by him. So many wonderful memories. But of course, I was only with Lou for part of his presidency and only a small part of his legacy in the BC post-secondary system. So it's with great pleasure that I introduce you to my friend and colleague, Dr. Patty Beatty-Gunter, who's come from Victoria to tell you a little bit more about Lou's story and legacy. To my great good fortune, Patty convinced me to come to NIC 18 years ago. She's worked closely with Lou at both Comox College and here. We share a deep affection for Lou, so it's with incredible fondness that I turn the mic over to her so that she can share her stories. Thank you very much.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, John. Thank you, Lisa. I want to begin by acknowledging the combined 35 First Nations, the Nuu-chah-nulth, Kwakwaka'wakw, and Coast Salish peoples, upon whose unceded traditional territories all of the North Island College campuses are located. My name is Patty Beatty-Gunter, both here at North Island College and at Comox College. Lou Dryden was often my boss, and he mentored me in my work over many years. I speak today a bit tongue-in-cheek about a few of Lou's early recruitment processes. And I will tell you about the one thing, the only one thing I knew that gave Lou the jitters. And before I do that though, I want you to know that as a boss, Lou was wonderful, creative, smart, and always supportive. So Lou hired me to design some surveys for Comox College. In so doing, he started my career in post-secondary education. And I'm really grateful for that, because I had a great career. The story takes us back to the early 1980s. Lou was a bright, ambitious director of educational support services at Comox College, with a PhD from the University of Calgary and a career in educational consulting. My first story will amuse some of you who knew Lou as Mr. Process. Processes for hiring, processes for planning, processes for running post-secondary education. Yeah, it wasn't always like that. In 1980, Lou needed a smart person who understood computers and measurement. So he phoned the University of Victoria Sociology Department and he said, send me one of those. And the chair there sent him my friend, David O'Neill. And David worked there for a while and then he got a good job at BC Stats. Ultimately, he became the chief demographer for British Columbia. And Lou said to David, you can't go till you replace yourself. So David replaced himself with our friend, Paul Murner, who went on to work more than 30 years in a variety of leadership positions at Comox College. And then Lou needed these student surveys designed, and Paul said, hire my friend Patty. So there you have it. Lou's early hiring practices were this. Very simple. Know where to find smart people and trust that they know other smart people. All right, you say, so okay. He hired some career track professionals. What's the big story in that? Well, here's the story. David had a long braided ponytail all the way down his back. And Paul's hair was loose and also very long with a big beard. And I was the traditional 1970s feminist. Long brown hair, parted in the middle, great big hoop earrings, and hairy legs. But Lou saw through all of that, and he gave us the opportunities that began our careers. And we three are still friends, and we owe our careers to Lou. So, now Lou Dryden was a very courageous guy. He would square his shoulders and he would stare adversity right in the face. And what a stare it was. And I expect he took the same approach with the disease that ultimately took his life. But there was one thing that would give him the jitters, and that was crossing the border into the US. Oftentimes, 3 or 4 of us would travel together in a college car to meet with others about research in higher education. When we crossed over that border to Blaine, Lou would be in the back seat, and he would be uncharacteristically quiet. He did not want to have those border people hear his accent and risk our arriving on time to a meeting. So Lou and I both liked to work late. In an office here that became rather empty by about 5 p.m., Lou and I were always still working. And for Lou, it was because he'd be waiting, getting some work done while he waited to go to the gym with his friends Lee or Gord, or maybe to go to spin class. For me, it was waiting to get some work done until I knew for sure that my husband Ken had dinner started. So my best memories of Lou are in those late afternoons with him leaning in my office door, and we're talking about student success. We're talking about ways to foster student success, and we had many plans that came out of those moments. And beyond the day-to-day business of running the college, Lou and I focused our work together on student success. I gotta tell you today that he would be so proud to see North Island College seeking student housing here on this campus. And I hope that you, as a community, will support North Island College in reaching that important goal. I feel sad that Lou was robbed of the long, healthy retirement that he so deserved. But I know that going back to Australia, building a house at the beach with his lovely wife Paula, having family together, Lee and Nikki in the same country, and then grandchildren around him, those are retirement dreams that came true. So I've gone on long enough. I'll just say that Lou Dryden was the best boss I ever had, and I'm delighted to see his family here today, and I applaud North Island College for making this dedication, and I thank you.
Thank you so much, Patty and Lisa, for your great speeches there. Before we go too far, I need to thank a couple of people as well. I need to thank Lisa Domé and Sue Bate for helping me realize that we need to do something to honor Lou. So thanks for that. Now please help me welcome our board chair, Jane Murphy.
Dr. Dryden was deeply committed to education, and in particular, his deep commitment to every student that was seeking to better themselves. His work and his deeds are truly inspirational to all of us. And in recognition of Dr. Dryden's leadership and generosity to education, North Island College is pleased and honored to rename this atrium to the Dr. Lou Dryden Trades Training Atrium. And now it's time for the unveiling.
I think we'll be able to recognize and remember his commitment to NIC for a very long time. I've got a special guest now. She loves balloons, and I was going to introduce the family. This is the best name ever. Lulu. Pretty fitting. It's her nickname, but it's great. And she's a great speaker too, so she's going to come and introduce her family. Please, can everyone say, hi, Lulu? Hi, Lulu. Okay, can everyone say it loud? Hi, Lulu. Much better, thank you.
Thank you everyone for coming to honor my grandfather this evening. I'm gonna introduce my family for all of you. Paula Dryden, Lee David Dryden, Nicole Elizabeth Dryden, and me, and Eloise Elizabeth Dryden. I'm now going to ask Nana to come and speak.
Wow, look at that. Isn't that amazing? What a fantastic tribute to Lou. He'd be so honored. I am, and the family is. It's fantastic. It looks awesome. Thank you. I wanted to just start off with how happy Lou was when he got this, the rights to build this building. And I want to quote from, well, before I say that, of course I got a lot of cards and emails from people, as you could imagine, when Lou passed away. And one of them from one of his workers at the college here, Susan Octoloni, she wrote something that I wanted to just share with you. She said she was with him when he got the rights to build this building, and she said he did his happy dance. And I smiled when I read that. I thought that's why I had to share it with you. I smiled and thought, happy dance. I wonder what that looked like. I could only imagine. And anyone that knows Lou in a social setting where we had dancing involved will know that it was not his forte. However, that said, he'd be extremely proud. He was extremely proud of this building when he was alive, and really happy to have it built. He brought me up here one day. It is a gorgeous building, and he was just thrilled with it. So that's my little story. I just want to thank everyone, particularly, firstly, Lisa and Domain Sue Bate for inspiring this honouring. I was getting emails from Lisa constantly saying, we're going to honour Lou, we're going to honour Lou, we love Lou here, we're going to honour him. So in Randall's terms, Lisa and Sue were the catalyst to get this event going, and I really thank you for it. It's wonderful. Also next to Randall and Randall Height, you've met Randall already, and Sherry Wilson, his right-hand woman. You like that, Nikki? Not right-hand man. And they have a team of about 10 people. They had a lot of work to get this day off the ground, just getting this designed and built, and just the organisation was huge. So that wonderful job. Thank you, Randall. And Sherry, where is she? Sherry and the team. Thank you. Also, of course, the Foundation Board for their support of this great idea to have this honouring. I believe they've been right behind it all the way and donating lots to their causes and all sorts of things, right, Randall? And the Board of Governors, of course, without the government approval, and it sounds like Lou was a persistent type, trying to get this done, so he was bugging the board there, probably. I don't know why I've got this paper, I can't read it anyway. Oh, my glasses. The President Bowman, John Bowman, thank you for your kind words and for supporting this event, and Lisa and Randall and everyone was wonderful. He often said he was really glad that you followed him here and that he'd do a good job. Who else? There's someone else. Oh, I wanted to thank everyone, all the colleagues and staff from Camosun. There's a lot of you have come up here today, and the colleagues and staff from North Island. Also all our friends from, they may have been colleagues, but also other friends from Victoria that made the trek up the island. Also there are his rugby friends from rugby days in Calgary when we first arrived in Canada. They were coming. I haven't seen them yet, but... Oh, there you are! That's funny, you know, I saw those. I looked at my friends here in the row in front of you, and I saw these guys in the red shirts, and they didn't twig. They got their Stags rugby sweaters on, jackets. Thanks, guys, for coming all that way. And Sherry, I haven't seen Sherry. Where's Sherry? Matter.
Oh, yes, she's there.
Oh, you were supposed to sit up here, Sherry. Sherry is my daughter Nikki's mother-in-law, and Sherry's brother-in-law is with her, and we had seats up there for you. Maybe that was those 3 empty ones. You should have done that. I told you to look after. I have enough to look after without you. Okay, so my only regret is that Lou isn't here to see this. He would have been just chuffed. I don't know if that's an Aussie word or not, is it? Whatever. I didn't say stuffed anyway. He'd be chuffed, very honoured, very proud, and very happy to see all this, to see that wall. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you all for coming today, and thank you to the college and everyone who made this event possible. It's a very humbling experience for myself to be able to see the legacy that he's made and the impact he's had. And as my mom said, he would absolutely be chuffed. He'd be so proud of the impact he's made here. And yeah, it'd be great for him to be able to see it. I didn't want to, my sister and I, my mum, we had a bit of a memorial for him back in Australia, and it turned out to be more of a party than anything, which is how he would have liked it. So I won't go into a lot of the sappy stuff about what a great father he was, but I did want to share a little newspaper article about his past, because before he was Dr. Lou Dryden, he was just a young kid growing up in the bush of Australia without a whole hell of a lot. And I think this story will go into, provide some context into shaping the man he became. So this article is from the Sydney Morning Herald in 1954, and the headline reads, Public provides for road victim's family. So people in and around Gunnedah have subscribed nearly 250 pounds and considerable quantities of warm clothing and bedding for the widow and 4 children of a man killed in a road accident last Saturday. The family was found in destitute circumstances after the death of Lewis Sidney Dryden, an unemployed builder's laborer. Mrs. Dryden and her children, the eldest of whom is 10 years and the youngest 20 months, were in shocked state, huddled in a thin 10 by 10 foot tent with an earth floor with only a 3/4 bed and a box for a table and little bedding or clothing when a Gunnedah businessman located them on Sunday. The family's pitiful position aroused immediate response, and at a public meeting on Monday night, nearly 150 pounds was subscribed. A Gunnedah woman provided the family with a room and cooking facilities, and since then subscriptions and donations of clothing and bedding have become tremendous, come in tremendous volume from all parts of the town and district. So the 10-year-old in that story was obviously my father, and I think that goes and provides a bit of context of the circumstances which he grew up in. And more importantly, I think that shaped his upbringing and really in 2 ways. One, education became incredibly important for him, and also giving back to the community that he grew up in. So I'll talk a little bit about the education component, and my sister Nikki will talk a little bit about how the community helped him growing up. So the early education days of my father were very difficult. He actually didn't start school until his father died, so about 10 years old. And in his words, he was called the big dummy. So I think they started it in him in year 2 or 3, and he hadn't started school till he was 10. So he had a lot of catching up to do. And that probably, for a lot of people, would have impacted them in the wrong way, but he certainly knew how to work hard, and no doubt after a few years, I'm sure he caught up. Then in his teenage years, he often told me a story. Whilst he was still living in Gunnedah and going to school, he got a job at the local abattoir or meat works, where he worked on the floor hanging up the animals on hooks. And whilst it was obviously hard work, that the manager of the abattoir actually said to him, "You're a good worker, Lou. One day you could manage this place." And for him, that was a real catalyst around, there needs to be something more. While it's good to have a job, obviously, you know, I think he saw education as his way out. And it wasn't long after that he moved to Sydney, where he started at Sydney Teachers College to become a phys ed teacher, and met my mother, and the rest was history from that part. Throughout his career, he obviously furthered his education. He went on to do his PhD, but even after the formal stuff ended, he was always had his nose in a book. That's my fondest memory of growing up with him. When I wasn't bugging him to kick a ball with him, he was always reading. And I know in his later years of his career, when he was at NIC, he was reading a lot of business books and books on leadership, always trying to better himself, I think. And that's certainly something I learned from him over the years, that obviously education continues throughout your life. And he certainly influenced both me and my sister in positive ways when it came to education over the course of our lives. But I also think it's important to note he never pushed us. He never said you have to go to university or you have to study this. He sort of just guided us, and as some other people mentioned, he was incredibly supportive with any decisions we made throughout our life. But I think that's what I admire my dad the most. He actually didn't discriminate against different types of education. So he saw a nurse as important as a doctor, and a plumber as important as an engineer. For him, it was always about giving people the opportunity to come get educated, come get a trade, get a skill or something practical that's going to translate into potentially a job, and so you can be a productive member of society. And I know that was always very important to him. So whilst he was a career academic, he was, I think, a very pragmatic academic in that sense. So over the last few years, I mean, why I'll miss him so much is because he was just incredibly supportive of us. He was, as I said at his memorial, he was our biggest fan. So he always, you know, was supporting us and telling us how great we were, which was always nice. And yeah, I think he always took a real interest in anything I did, and it was very genuine. So whether I'd come back from a surf, how are the waves, how are the water, or you know, what I was working on in my career, he'd read about it in the newspapers and then come and have a bunch of questions about it and always wanted to discuss it. So he took a real interest and was very supportive of us over the years. But I mean, education obviously was my father's way out of his humble beginnings, but he never also forgot how the community supported him along the way. So I'll invite Nikki up to say a few words to talk about that.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much to everybody for coming and letting us share in this wonderful moment. As Lee said, education was our dad's way out, but community and sport also shaped his life very deeply, and especially in his formative years. Lou, as we know, Lou was raised by a single mom who worked odd jobs, including taking in people's laundry. But the community really in Gatineau filled in the gaps. When his father died and the community took them in, they were actually, him and his brothers and sisters were split up and sort of taken into people's homes in a sort of community informal foster care for a short period of time while the community actually built a home for their family, which is the home he lived in and his mother lived in for the rest of her life. And of course there was sports as well. I think with the family that he stayed with was one of the first introductions he had to some sport. And he started hanging around at the pool. And my husband and I actually recently went and visited the family of his old swim coach. His swim coach, Eric Arnold, has passed away, but his wife, Pam, told us all these lovely stories about Louis, who they had known since he was a young man. And apparently, although he didn't quite remember it this way, but this is the story in Gatineau, that a lot of the kids would pick up newspapers and Eric would give them a little bit of spare change. But eventually, if you hung around at the pool long enough, you had to get in and learn to swim. And so, as was the way, they just pushed you in the deep end, and that's how he learned to swim. But it must have, a little different these days, but it must have worked because he actually became a swimming star. And I do remember the time when I passed some of his best times, but it was interesting. I didn't he was very proud of his times, and obviously, his swimming, yeah. Lee did when he was 12, but so swimming, obviously rugby took over swimming, but his early days with Pam and Eric were obviously very instrumental. And he actually didn't find out till that trip that Scott and I took to see Pam was when we found out actually that a local businessman had actually paid his swim fees throughout high school. And that was the only way he was actually able to swim. So, I think even though he didn't even know his community was taking care of him, they were. Obviously then he switched to rugby. Swimming was still a big part of my life and my brother, and he was, in between working at the college, he was the president of Vico Swim Club, not an easy job, dealing with my ex-swim coach on a regular basis. So there were so many things that he was doing in his community, not just as well as his job. Between sport, education, and the wonderful people that took care of him, not just as a young man, but all through his life, including all his wonderful friends who are here and his teammates. All these things shaped his life and his commitment to the public interest. It's what inspired me to be committed to the public interest. And I really hope today that you will honor our father and honor Lou's memory by opening up your wallets and donating to the Lou Dryden Bursary Fund and the NIC Foundation. There's no better way to honor him than by taking these little cards and writing lots of zeros on the back of them. So Lou, you've heard he would be very honored here today. You know, I think he would be very humbled as well. It's interesting that his granddaughter is an excellent public speaker because he was actually a little afraid of doing this kind of thing. So I think he would be honored, but also very humbled for all of you to be here. So thank you very much from all of us, all of our families that are also still in Australia who couldn't make the trip, and to everyone here at the college for making this happen. Thank you so much.
That was a really good ask. So if you ever want to leave law and come into fundraising, you let me know, and we can probably find a spot for you, because that was really well. For those of you who don't know, Nikki did swim in 2 Olympics, so to beat her dad swimming, it's okay. She was an Olympian. So, in case you didn't know that, so it's fine.
Probably not okay with Lou, though.
Probably not okay with Lou. Thank you, Lisa. Okay. So this screen actually will showcase our donors in the future, as well as recipients of Lou's award. So that'll be a great way to honor in the future. I have to give some more thanks. Boy. So there's some rules in fundraising. Never have more than 1 event in a week. We're having 3 in 2 days. Give yourself at least a year to plan. We didn't do that. And so I want to thank and apologize to my team kind of all at the same time because they've done a fantastic job. So I really need to thank, they don't like when I do this, but Jolene, Avery, Jessica, Jenny, Marcy, Christine, Jordan, Sherry, and David Graham for facilities, because this lighting, all these things weren't here. And also the provincial government for allowing us to have this special honor. They did know Lou with the province, because when I said that, they're like, okay, yeah, no, sure, that's fine, yeah. It's gonna take 6 months, and then like 4 weeks later, we found out, so that was really great. Please take some time, socialize. There's some coffee and treats down in this classroom right here, Christine, correct? So there's some coffee and treats in there. For those of you who might not have had a chance to look at the wall, please come and spend some time and take a look. I'm really happy to hear that he would be chuffed. Yeah, that's good. I speak spelling now too, so that's really good. Thank you all for joining us here today. A very, very special day to honor, as we've heard, a great man, a great president, and a great community member. And that's shown by all the people that came here today. Life is about the dash. You're born, there's a dash, and we all pass away. And it's how many people you help during that dash. How many people you influence during that dash. How many lives you impact. You're all here. Lou had a great dash. Thank you all very much for coming.